Hello everyone, welcome to my second car video. I plan on making this a more regular thing, as you can probably tell by the fact that I got a proper mount for the camera rather than just throwing it on the seat next to me and propping it up with whatever I have on the floor. I'm gonna eventually get a dedicated camera for the car. Right now I'm just using my phone with the front-facing camera. I wanted to use my DSLR, but that thing's just way too big and bulky and cumbersome, and it doesn't have like a flip-out screen or anything, so it's just not right for the car. This thing is gonna have to do for now. I'll eventually probably grab some sort of action camera, whatever, something that looks better than this. So right now you're gonna have to deal with, you know, the focus maybe going out of whack a little bit, or maybe the exposure being a little weird, but whatever. I like car videos. I like the fact that I can just not be interrupted by other things, and I can talk as loud as I want to instead of having to wait for my roommates to be at work or whatever. Anyways, let's get on to today's topic. I want to talk about a complaint I've been seeing about the Nintendo Switch, about it being too big to be a proper handheld. So when the system was first shown off and the Eurogamer rumors were confirmed true, people learned about the fact that the Nintendo Switch was going to be a handheld console hybrid, and that the thing was going to be working like a home console, but you could take it on the go. Or there were also other people seeing it as more of a handheld system that also can connect to your TV. Really depends on the taste of the person who is getting the system, what they want to do. I know people that are going to keep it in the dock most of the time. I know people that are going to be using it mostly on handheld, and then there's people like me who are going to play it in the dock, and then when I go to bed, I'll probably just bring it to bed with me because I'm a loser who's around my technology too much. So a complaint I've been seeing about it is that it's too big to be a handheld. It's too bulky. So basically what we're getting is an underpowered home console and a bulky handheld with a bad battery life, so the thing's basically going to be useless and not do anything right. So let's get into why Nintendo made a home console handheld hybrid first real quick, and then I'll kind of address these complaints. So the reason why they did this in the first place, and I know people are complaining about the fact that they did this, is because Nintendo has had basically before last year two different sides to their development. They developed their home console games, and then they had development on their handheld games. Now the handheld got way more attention because not only was it way cheaper to develop for, but their handhelds were more successful than the home consoles. Even in the Wii era, the DS ended up selling like 55 million more units than the Wii ended up selling. So they focused most of their efforts on their handheld. So what Nintendo wanted to do was basically combine those two assets and have one big development team, or they have multiple teams, but one big development force working on one platform. And it's also for third-party developers too, so they can work on just one platform too. So that's why they did the home console handheld hybrid, and they didn't want to just make a standard home console and another handheld. Also, the fact that handheld gaming's dying a little bit, and if they made another handheld, they'd risk losing everything that they put into it. They almost did with the 3DS until they cut the price and released some games for it. So the size of the Switch. People are complaining that it is too big to be a proper handheld, and that's simply not the case. So look at the measurements of the Switch. I'm going to put a graphic on the screen right now. Look at the measurements of the Switch, or at least the size of the Switch. It's not that big. It's about 6 inches diagonal, so it's about the size of a small tablet. Like, even the iPad mini dwarfs it at about 8 inches. So it's pretty tiny. In fact, if you compare its size without the Joy-Cons on, it's only about as big as the Nintendo 3DS XL when it's closed, or the new 3DS XL, depends on, you know, which one you have. They're basically around the same size. It's the size of the 3DS XL when it's closed, roughly. It's very similar. It's also a lot smaller and thinner than the Wii U gamepad. The Wii U gamepad was definitely unnecessarily bulky. So it's not really as big and bulky as you guys may think. You can probably, when you first saw the trailer, it looked kind of thick and bulky compared to like maybe your smartphone. But if people are willing to carry their 3DSs around, then I don't think that's going to be a problem with the Switch. Sorry about that jump cut there. I just had a sneezing fit right in the middle of me recording a video and driving. I know jump cuts aren't exactly the most ideal thing in the world for car videos, because the scenery just kind of jumps by, but whatever. Let's just continue on with what we were saying. if people are willing to carry their 3DSs around, then I don't think it's going to be a problem with the Switch. The 3DS ended up selling over 60 million units, and a lot of those units were 3DS XLs. In fact, I would take a wager to say that a large number of them were 3DS XLs. And even if you count the 2DS, that thing can't even go clamshell, so that thing is even harder to fit in a pocket. And that right there is probably what made up the majority of the 3DS sales. I've never actually researched it or anything. Well, I have, but I don't remember anything. The 3DS is at its size, and people are more than willing to carry it around. You know what they do? They bring it in a bag. They put it in a bag, and they use that to carry the 3DS around. Whether they're going on vacation, or they're going to a tournament, or whatever they're doing, or they're going to a convention, people carry them in their bags, because your pockets are usually already taken up by your phone and your wallet, even the people who are 3DS owners. And the Vita, for that matter. The Vita is even less pocket-friendly than the 3DS because it has its buttons always on it and exposed, especially those sticks. And that thing's also around the size of a closed 3DS XL. And people, I know the 3DS didn't sell super well, but for all the people that own them, the size definitely wasn't the problem with it. It was the lack of compelling games and marketing. I feel like the Vita was an underrated system, but that's a whole other video. People are willing to carry the 3DSs around, no problem. And I know people are going to mention, well, Jake, what about the Joy-Con controllers? You just said that the size of the thing was without the Joy-Con controllers added, so you're basically cheating. Well, not really. People, when they carried their 3DSs around, would oftentimes also carry their games with them, at least a few games. And what would they use? They would use a separate dedicated bag or a dedicated case to carry the games. So they would usually get a little case to carry their 3DS and their games and maybe some extra styluses and some accessories. And they would put that in their backpack, or they would just carry that with them. Not a big deal at all. People are going to do the same thing with the Switch, especially because the Switch is going to have a lot of games on it, such as Mario Kart, Smash Bros., Splatoon 2, and whatever other games are coming to it. It's going to have a lot of games that are perfect for competitions and LAN parties and all that other stuff. So people are going to be willing to carry their Switch and their accessories with them, and they're going to use a bag. So yeah, that's just a dumb complaint. I understand if you liked to carry your smaller 3DS in your pocket, or you've never really had a dedicated handheld system and you don't really understand what it's like. But pretty much none of the Nintendo handhelds, except for maybe the Game Boy Advance XP and the Game Boy Pocket for obvious reasons, even that one was pushing it, none of their handheld systems were really super pocket-friendly, and yet people were more than willing to buy and carry those around. Nintendo handhelds have been pretty successful so far. So I think the Switch will do okay. I don't think if it's not going to sell well, I don't think it's going to be because of the size. I think that if it were to not sell well, it would be because of a game problem again. But Nintendo, we know they're focusing all their efforts on it and making tons of games. We know that a bunch of third-party developers are praising the hell out of the system, and that they're making games for it too. We know that it's getting marketed heavily, so more heavy marketing means more people buying it, which means more developers willing to make games. So yeah, I just wanted to put that complaint to rest. I know people are going to keep complaining about it, but that they made it as small as they could make it for the hardware they wanted to put inside of it, whether that be the Maxwell chip or, based on Spawnwave's video, the Pascal chip that was leaked by a leaker, a Foxconn leaker, that said that it was going to have Pascal, and they leaked a bunch of other stuff, like the battery life down to the 10 places for the milliamp hours. Who knows? Either way, no matter what chip they wanted to use, they made it as big as they could for that kind of chip. And also, if they made the screen too small, a big idea of the Switch is tabletop mode. So if you wanted to use tabletop mode and the screen was tiny, then you would either have to put it way up close to you, or people wouldn't be able to see it if you were playing split-screen multiplayer. Even the current screen size is kind of pushing it in terms of size when it comes to people gathering around a tiny screen. I see it maybe being good for the rear of a car if you have some people sitting in the back. Maybe not the back of this car, because I got stuff on the freaking seats that I have to clean up. It's another thing, is the screen size. They couldn't make that too small either. I think the Switch is at a good size. I think Nintendo did a good job designing the thing. The thing looks great. I look forward to picking it up in just a few weeks. I'll be doing an unboxing and review of the system. I would not normally do unboxing and reviews, but I definitely want this system to be talked about for sure, from all sorts of different angles. The more exposure, the better. So anyways, I'll see you guys next time. I don't know if that'll be a, in my home setup face cam videos or if I'll just do more car stuff. We got a new camera for the car eventually. I mean, obviously my money for the Switch is going down, so that's going to have to wait. And this will just have to do for now. So I'm almost at my destination. I'll see you guys next time.